Hey, what's up guys? It's Lance here, the one-man film crew behind the storytelling platform Cuecard. For those of you that don't know Cuecard, I actually approach random people on the street with these cue cards that have questions written on them, often questions submitted by the public and also created by myself, and then this gives these people the opportunity to share a piece of themselves with the world. Share their stories, experiences and views on life, and that's what this platform is. It's a platform of stories that are provided by humanity. The aim here of this platform is to actually build bridges of understanding and connect humans from around the world. And I launched this in January. I've been working on it for about a year and a half now. And what I found is that a lot of people are actually enjoying the content. They appreciate the concept. They would love to learn more about humanity and see my project and Cuecard as a way of them getting access to those connections and that information. And yeah, something that is happening quite frequently now is that on Instagram and Facebook and even in the comments on YouTube, I get a heck of a lot of questions such as, how did you start Cuecard? How do you make money? Do you work alone? Is it just you working on the project? How did you come up with the idea? What equipment do you use? There's been a heck of a lot of questions from people that have been watching the content, and it's been a shame because I've been answering these questions a lot of the times and it's only being shared with one person, and I keep getting asked the same questions over and over again, and then it sparked an idea, and that idea is, why not start a vlog? Why not actually share my stories, my experiences, my views on life, and then also my tips and advice for people that are maybe considering doing something similar or looking for inspiration, no matter what path in life they are. So I've never done vlogging before. It's taken me time to get used to being on camera, but here we go, and I feel very positive about this journey, this part of the journey, actually speaking to you guys and getting your questions, writing them down on cue cards and then actually answering those. But I think it's important for this very first episode for me to actually explain how Cuecard came about, my journey, like what actually happened and how did I get to this point with this project. And I suppose that journey started, it was more than 10 years ago. I grew up not actually having a lot. We struggled to a degree. We could always eat, don't get me wrong, but we never ever had a very lot of money. We just didn't have a lot of money. And I grew up in an area where a lot of people did have money, and I witnessed things that not many people get to witness, such as my friend's dad bringing a helicopter and bringing us in a helicopter for the day. It was just incredible. I was this guy that didn't have much, but I was being exposed to a completely different side to life, and that was when I hit secondary school. And then from a very young age, especially when I finished college, I wanted to make money to help my family, help my mom, help others, but also to have the nice things in life, such as a nice car, expensive watches, the jewelry, all the trinkets and clothes and the houses, and I wanted all the things that naturally, as you're growing up, I think a lot of people are persuaded is the right thing to go for and to achieve in their life. That's what the focus should be. This is what you should be doing, getting a career. And you probably hear this a lot now actually on social media. Oh yeah, and they tell us to get a long-term career and all these things. I actually don't think it's a bad thing to have a stable job, a long-term career, because the things you learn on that journey actually helps you to learn exactly what you want from life. And also you live in a society where if you don't comply with that normal structure, at least for even a set period of time, life potentially becomes not enjoyable. You're not able to do the things that you want to do. So I'm not against that, but what I learned throughout my career, I was in sales for 10 years. I started doing door-to-door, which was incredibly difficult and probably the hardest job that I've had. I remember walking in the snow with my leather shoes on, minus temperatures, knocking on doors, trying to speak to people that didn't want anything to do with me. Knocking on doors at 8 o'clock at night, and we started at 8 in the morning. 100% commission, so you only make money from what you sell. And trying to speak to at least 100 people a day. They used to call it the law of averages, and that was one of the most grueling jobs I've ever had. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, and it gave me a lot of appreciation for the jobs that then followed that particular job. I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years, and it taught me a heck of a lot. And then I got into property. I was working for an estate agent for a couple of years. And then beyond that, what happened was I decided to make a career change. I jumped on Google, I was typing in, so literally, how do I make the most amount of money without a degree? And I found industry, if you don't know it, it's called recruitment. And literally, I was chasing money. I was chasing money from the age of 17, probably even before that. Because I used to sell sweets and cans of Coke at school, and I used to be selling things at school to actually be able to afford those nice trainers or that nice pair of jeans or that nice top. So from a very young age, I was actually already thinking about how to actually make money to fund my own wants and needs, let's say. And yeah, once I got to past the door-to-door and the property, I jumped into recruitment, and that's really where my career started to take shape. I started to learn about an industry, gain knowledge and understanding, and it wasn't just at the surface, but it started to become very deep. And over a 7-year period, I actually climbed the ladder. I wasn't making very good money to begin with for the first 5 years, to be honest with you. It was very average, considering now it costs £1,000 to have your own flat in the UK. It was or in London, let's say, it was very average. But then what happened is the last couple of years of my career, I started to make good money. It was really good money. I was making £80,000 per year plus, which is about $100 US. It's about $100 US, and then I started to achieve the things that I'd always wanted to achieve from the age of 17. And I was able to help people. I gave away a heck of a lot of that money. I remember one year I gave away £20,000 of my my savings. When I worked it out, I was giving away a heck of a lot to the people that I loved. Family, friends, and even people I didn't know. And then what happened was I got to a point where I started to question the value in the decisions that I was actually making. I was achieving things, and then I started to question them. So I was like, oh, I really want this car, and I was driving for this car. I was fighting to save the money to buy this car, and I bought this car. And then once I had it, I realized that it didn't make me feel any better within myself. If anything, the only thing it did was boosted my ego. It made me feel as though society would view me different, my family would view me different. It was all about how other people perceived me rather than it being something I did for myself. And then from that very point I started to question. And then what happened, I had a health scare, and a lot of my family don't know about this, to be honest. A lot of my friends don't know, but I had a health scare. And that health scare actually shifted my mind completely. Literally within minutes of me finding out, I saw life in a different light, because it made me think, like, when something happens to you that's drastic or extremely hurtful, when it's deep, and those things potentially impact your life. It could be someone dying, it could be you get a serious illness, it could be you find out you're not going to be able to have children, or you just, so many events in life which are potentially shift the path that you're on. And I believe that when those things happen, it really truly helps you realise that the things that you've been wanting your whole life actually don't matter. So that expensive watch, those clothes, that car, the houses, the ego that you've been building up, and the impression and status that you have within society, actually none of that really matters. And that's what happened to me. I got to a realisation. I was like, well, these things actually don't matter. They really don't matter in terms of my own individual happiness and contentment, my own inner peace, because at the end of the day, with or without these things, all that's left is me. I will always exist. These things will come and go, but I will always exist. So why am I working on the outside when really, truly, I should be working on the inside? And you can do both, but I think the outside also has to reflect your values. And I realised that who I was inside my values didn't align to the life that I was living, and the goals that I had, and what I was trying to achieve, and what was I even trying to achieve? At what point was it enough? At what point does it stop? At what point are you actually content with where you are in life? And these are all the questions that I started to ask myself. And then what happened with that health scare, a lot of my past started to be thrown up. The bad things I had done in my life, the bad things people had done to me, the fear that I had over the future and where I was going, and then, oh God, my past and my present and my future, it was all in turmoil. And definitely my past had been thrown up. Things that I'd never addressed within myself had all come up because of this health scare. And I started to feel a bit bitter and almost like I needed to fix and solve something within myself before I even moved on with life. Because what's the point in living a life that you're unhappy with because you're scared that you won't be able to afford the bills? There's always another way. And I always thought to myself, well, if I actually give up this life and I quit everything now, although I've just worked 10 years to get things off the ground, and get to the point of where I am actually very comfortable, if I quit, I can always go back to that. So what am I risking really? Well, I'm risking stepping into the unknown and not knowing what the future holds. I actually don't know what's going to happen next. But I had more to lose staying in that situation than to lose leaving it. So I decided to quit my job. But I didn't quit straight away because I'd been giving away a lot of money and spending a lot, so I didn't have much savings. So what I needed to do was save so that I could actually take some time off and think about what it is that I wanted to do with my life, and overcome all these feelings that I'd having and almost solve myself. I feel like I am a jigsaw within myself. I was a puzzle at that time, and I needed to just put the pieces in the right places so that things made sense. I needed to understand the purpose of life for me. So what I did was I stayed in the job for another year, which was grueling because I was going through this mental battle, and then it was grueling going through this final year. I grew my hair out. I was in a professional corporate job and I had long hair. I had super long hair, and I started to be a bit wild, and it was fascinating because I actually started to perform better when I stopped caring as much about the job. Obviously I needed the money and I needed to save, so there was a purpose there, but I didn't care as much as I did when I first joined, and I started to make more money. So it was actually worked hand in hand. It's interesting how that works, is when you're in a sales job and you care less about the sale, maybe you make more. So basically that's what happened. I worked, I saved enough money, and then I decided to go travelling. And unlike others that I'd met along my journey, almost everyone, they wanted to travel to explore, meet people, and do all these wonderful activities and sightseeings. For me, I just wanted to escape. I needed to free myself of the environment that I had been living in the comfort zone and the bubble that I'd surrounded myself with. I needed to escape that, especially just get away from people that I knew that might question what I'm doing or question me, or maybe not come with the right energy, or maybe sometimes be over supportive in a time when I actually need to just support myself. I need nothing else but to just figure this out myself. So I decided to go traveling, to be alone, to go on a journey of self-exploration, and that's what I did. I started partying immediately. As soon as I landed, I was partying, I was drinking, at the time I was smoking a lot of cigarettes, and I didn't ever do drugs, but I was surrounded by that in the places that I was in, people smoking weed and stuff like that. And I just ended up in this crowd of like party goers. And then after a couple of weeks, I realised this is not the way of actually getting through what I need to get through. But it was a good experience. And also, just to know, I don't regret any of the experience I had in my working career, because it actually has helped me a lot. I've developed, I've grown in many aspects, and it's made me a stronger individual, more resilient, more determined, more organised. There's so many skills and things I've picked up, and it's taught me a lot about business, and also it's helped me become the person that I am today. So I'm going back and forth, sorry about that, but basically, yeah, I ended up going, doing the partying, quitting that scene, and then deciding, right, so I need to try and find a way to work this out, because I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm not going to stop searching for this feeling of peace until peace with my past, peace with the future, peace with the present, until I'm not going to stop searching for it until I find it. I don't care what it takes. Even if it means I've run out of all my money and I still haven't found it, I'm on that journey. It's my life's purpose now to find this thing. And then I started reading, I started meditating, I went to Buddhist temples, I went to mosques, so I was traveling around Asia, and I did a trip to Jamaica as well. I went to Europe, and just different places that I went to, and I was speaking with a lot of individuals, I was talking to people, and then I met a group of friends, and in particular a friend called Inoa, and then we had some deep conversations, and then before you knew it, I was on this path of self-discovery. I was almost reinventing my life and my understanding of life and what it is that I wanted, my values and this whole thing. And then I ended up waking up one morning and I felt free. It was the first time in my life I woke up and the air smelled different. My mind was clear, the weight off my shoulders was gone, and I felt free. And it was so liberating that I actually started to cry, because I felt so privileged that I'd found this thing so soon. After looking for only a few months, I'd found this most powerful and intense feeling, and it was that feeling of freedom. That freedom from chains that had been holding me back for so long, this weight that had been holding me down. And I was able then to forgive. I didn't even know the process for forgiving, but literally, I know I was going through a process, but on that day I'd forgiven everyone who had ever done me any bad. And I'd been through some trauma in the last years before that with certain family members, and I was able to forgive. And I was able almost to forget, you know. It was incredible. And then I was able to forgive myself and come to terms with my situation and acceptance and all these things at once. It all just came at once, and it was like a dream almost. And I was able to see life completely different, and it's hard to explain this feeling. But I felt so privileged, because I know people spend their whole lives searching for that feeling, and I don't think I've ever had it as intense as that moment ever since then, but that feeling has never lost me. I think it takes practice to stay at that level, because if you look at even like the monks and the Buddhist monks, you expect them to be at that level, but it comes with practice. You have to be focused on that day to day, but when you're focused on projects, for example, or a career, or obviously you're in the system, let's so call it, it's very difficult to maintain that level of intensity when it comes to inner peace and contentment, because I'm far from a guru or completely healed or anything. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that the person I was before, I was transformed. I was still Lance, but within myself I was transformed. And it was great. And then I started working on Cuecard, which at the time was actually called Voyager's Converse. Let me get you the cards actually. So at the time was actually called Voyager's Converse. Basically it's a deck of cards that I have here. That have questions on them for travellers. So I was meant to be interviewing travellers from all over the world, backpackers, luxury travellers, families, all sorts of different travellers from around the world, and I was going to create this platform, a bit like TripAdvisor for travel. And what it would do is give you all the best advice, tips, etc., but it's all in video form. Great idea, still a great idea. But what I decided to do instead was actually, when I went through this period of revelation, let's say, or this epiphany, the idea that I had for Voyager's Converse, which I had even before I'd quit my job, because I said I need to keep my mind stimulated whilst I'm travelling, so let me come up with an idea, and that's how Voyager's Converse was born. I was like, let me do this because I'm going to be meeting a lot of travellers, let me capture their stories. I've always been interested in capturing people's stories, learning about them, and almost absorbing their knowledge, but imagine if I could share that with the world. And then that's when Voyager's Converse was born. But when I went through this process of healing, I actually came out of it and I was like, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference in this world with my time, my care and appreciation. My views on money have completely changed. So what I'm doing isn't for money anymore. So whatever I'm going to do next is to make a difference. It's actually a process that's going to help me develop and grow, but also those that I'm in touch with and I'm connecting with, and those that then follow and join the platforms. Everybody's learning and developing and growing together. And then that's when Cuecard was born out of Voyager's Converse. It was an idea that really involved more than just travellers. It was, imagine actually capturing the stories and opinions and views on life from people from all corners of the world, from all different backgrounds and races and religions and body types and everything you can imagine. Imagine actually having a platform for humanity rather than just travel, where you can come on and you can learn about Muslims, black people, you can learn about travellers as well, but also the disabled, the homeless, politicians. There's all sorts of different collective groups of humans where we probably have questions that we would love to ask and then never had that chance. And what this platform does is gives you the opportunity to learn stuff about groups of humans that you might never get a chance to meet. And I knew it was the right decision at the time. I didn't know how to film and edit, so I needed help, and then that's when I invited Yen to join me on my journey. Yen was a graduate at the time, recent graduate, who studied film and television, and I thought I could really do with your help because I tried using the camera already and I knew that it was going to be a grueling and long process to try and learn about film and get my videos to the level where I want them. My equipment's amazing, but now I need to learn the theory, and I could teach myself that. YouTube's an amazing tool. However, you also need to know what to search for. So bringing him on board for 6 months, I agreed to pay his expenses, so that then chewed a heck of a lot into my savings, but it was well worth it because we had a great collaboration and were able to lay the foundation together for how Cuecard looks today in terms of the video production. I actually learned how to film through that process, and then I taught myself how to edit once Yen and I parted ways. I taught myself how to edit, and then I edited all the videos that you see on the platform. I also then brought my cousin on board, Les. He agreed to join only for 3 months to help out with the marketing side of things. I had already set up the platforms, but I didn't really know how to use social media. So he really got Instagram kick-started. helped me with that. And then we worked on YouTube together. I built a website. So yeah, we did a heck of a lot as a team, all the three of us. As a team, to really get Cuecard to a position where all the foundations were laid, and then I could single-handedly take on the project. I could film, edit, manage social media, be a community manager, do teasers, all sorts of different responsibilities come with running a project like this. And the truth is now I'm doing it alone, because Les obviously has moved on to new adventures. He stayed much longer than we had anticipated, and I'm so grateful for both his and Yen's support in getting the project to where it was before I launched. And then I launched in January, and the truth is it's way too much for one individual, but I'm finding a way, because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I'm now filming the homeless series. I filmed a heck of a lot of humanity videos, so it's literally just people that I meet on my journey in the streets, and I hand them questions, and that then becomes the humanity series. I filmed the digital nomad series, the people that work remotely, a very topical and popular thing at the moment, and I filmed a short series on that. And also I filmed the backpacker series, but I now plan to film Muslims, refugees, the homeless, and humanity in general. There's going to be so much time filming. I'm also filming the disabled as well, and what I'm doing is I'm using the platform to tap into these different areas or groups of people within society, and giving them a voice, empowering them, giving them a chance to share a piece of themselves with the world, which is fascinating, because then I become like a storyteller through these individuals. But when you see these people getting the opportunity to share a piece of themselves, and the way they light up, and even though it's uncomfortable for a lot of people because they've never been on camera before, they've sometimes never talked about these things before, and that collaboration is one of the most beautiful things for me personally, because even though it's for a fleeting moment, it doesn't even last sometimes 1 hour, these interactions with these people. It's a moment and journey between me and them that we will remember for the rest of our lives. I remember every single person's name that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed over 1,000 people, and it's because those moments are so intense with feeling and emotion and connection and all those good feelings that come from that. So I love what I do. I literally love my life and the project, and I feel so content with my past now. And don't get me wrong, I'm a little bit anxious about the future for Cuecard, because the truth is I actually had to come back from travelling, and I got a lot of help from family. I've been living with family, and now I'm actually living with my partner, who I actually got engaged whilst I was going through that whole process to Daniela, and now she's actually helping to fund Cuecard for the moment as well. And I have just a small amount of savings left, but I potentially will have to start working part-time and working on Cuecard at the same time as well, which is why I'm crowdfunding, because once I get to around, I think, 300 to 500 funders on Patreon, which will take time, I know, but once I get to that level, then I can get back to working on Cuecard full time. The foundation's there. I will never stop producing. It's the best thing I've ever done, and for the next month or so I'll be working on Cuecard full time, and then I will be looking to get a part-time job to actually fund Cuecard and my life and my future wife, and yeah, maybe have a family and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and hopefully that kind of explains how Cuecard came about, a little bit about my journey as well. And yeah, I really feel that with the support of people just like you watching, I can make a mark on this world. And I wouldn't necessarily call it my mark, but it's more like our mark, because it's not just about me. I am almost the I'm just the cameraman, you know. I'm just helping to capture these stories, but it's the people that submit the questions, the people that tell the stories, and those of you that are watching that are making the biggest impact on Cuecard. Because the truth is I can film loads of stuff, but if I do nothing with it, then no, if you guys don't do anything with it, if you guys don't watch it, if you don't share it, if people don't submit questions, and if people don't take part, Cuecard would be nothing. So yeah, I really understand that this is a project for humanity. It's a very unselfish thing, and I hope to keep it that way. I really want to do that. Hopefully in the future I end up building a team of people that think like me and have the same sort of values, and we can come together and start producing more content more regularly. But it's going to take time to build this channel, and I've come to terms with that. But yeah, that's the story, and what I would like to do is start vlogging more regularly. So if you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, then drop them in the comments below, or drop me a DM on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, even an email, and I will be sure to answer your questions in the up and coming vlogs. But thank you very much for watching. This is my first vlog. It's probably a little bit rusty, but who cares? I'm giving you the information and answering questions that I've been asked so many times. But once again, thank you all for following. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you have no idea what I'm talking about all this time, then check out the videos on YouTube, or I also have a Facebook channel as well, and I release teasers on Instagram. So make sure you're following. I have some interesting content coming up, and yeah, I just really appreciate the support. So thanks guys for following, watching, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe for more episodes of Cuecard, and also more vlogs sharing an insight into the behind the scenes of what's going on at Cuecard. Thanks for watching guys. Cheers.